I graduated, so you don't have to. Of course, it's a joke because you need to have a diploma to live true and make money, but I would just want to share my experience being unemployed and a job seeker for a long time. So I will tell you a short story about how I swapped my permanent contract for becoming IT specialist in one of the biggest growing companies in the vending industry, where I had to just leave my permanent contract and just go into the void, hoping that I will get a permanent contract in a new company and I will settle there down, and probably I will be working in IT and I will be happy and everyone gonna be happy. But something went really wrong. I went to the company in the vending industry for a couple of the interviews. They asked me about my experience, my vision, my future, what I'm thinking to do, this kind of basic stuff, what they want to know from you. And of course, I just decided to ask them, hey, could you tell me about the culture of your company? And they told that we're a family business, we have an open door policy. So basically, if you have a question, you can enter to director, to the financial manager, to HR or CEO of the company. What I thought at that moment, it was a fantastic thing. And they said, we live like a family. I thought living in a family, it's a cool thing. I grew up in a really friendly, not toxic family where I was loved, and I thought this is the same. But apparently, according to the standard of that company, they had a standard that the director of the company will just go to the warehouse or to the working place and will scream at you for working slow, for being ineffective, that you need to pick up the trash and other stuff. And yes, I wasn't employed as IT specialist, as I thought, but I ended up being just a regular worker who works here and there. And then we had some kind of agreement for my graduation, which also went super wrong. And at the end, I just ended up being fired. And then I had only half a year to find another company where I do my graduation, because they kicked me out right in the moment when I had to start my graduation. That was ultra frustrating. I cannot hide my anger, frustration, and I have a lot of bad wishes for that company for reverse growth. I also ended up being mocked for not outperforming well, not delivering everything what they wanted as soon as possible, even though they expected me to use ChatGPT on every stage, from writing emails to programming the code, because they said, if you're not using ChatGPT, you're not efficient and we will look quite weird at you because you're being not effective at all. What can I say about the company? Well, what if I tell you that in my first day when I was introduced to the system that they're working on, that they ordered from company, they paid 10,000 euros as the first installment for developing their application. But what I found out in prior to this event, that they already paid 10,000 euros to another company that failed to deliver. And that was some kind of an Indian-based company where they were promised to deliver some outstanding application that will make a lot of savings for the company, but it's ended up being a scam. And then when I came, I found out that they following the same path of just paying 10,000 euros to another company and not getting anything. And at that point, I already attended not few meetings, but meetings every week or 2 weeks. And I was shocked of stupid confidence of those scam company that promised to deliver a product, which ended up being written in JavaScript for multi-user platform. So they stored all the passwords in JavaScript. If you would alter some of the data, you would have just accessed information of another user, which is not supposed to be viewed. And that was so simple and so stupid that they told that it's a normal procedure, that's how it's supposed to be, you don't understand anything. And I'm like, come on, I've been like working in an IT company for a long time and writing completely backend part in JavaScript. I thought it was ridiculous. And to my surprise, company owner and director and the whole family told me that don't be pushy, be nice to them, let's just wait for what they will deliver. And I said right away that they're not going to deliver a shit, because their product, what they're working on, it's not going to end up as a good thing. Because imagine writing the whole backend part in JavaScript that is accessible to anyone, even a user who's not authorized to log in. You would just write random data and you probably would get information over the company, because there was no security at all, except standard WordPress password username thing. And at the end, they asked me, well, why are we paying you 15 euros per hour? You need to work better. You need to work harder. Aren't you Ukrainian? And I'm like, hell no, what the fuck are you thinking about? Like, how you came up with this statement like I'm being Ukrainian? I am not. I'm living in the European Union, I'm born in the European Union, in one of the European countries. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, it wasn't convincing to them, so they got quite surprised that I'm not Ukrainian, and they became a bit aggressive and arrogant with me. Maybe because they got subsidy from the government for employing a refugee or whatever, and then found out that they will end up just paying me 15 euros brutto per hour, and also not paying for all the travel costs, and I had to drive other Ukrainian refugees for free with my own car. But this is a different story, where I ended up being scammed by them. But it is what it is, I don't care. What happened is happened, so. But then for my graduation project, we agreed that I will work on some vending machines to modify them, and then I had some problem in school because my school teachers weren't fast enough to give me a grade, so I weren't able to start with my graduation on time. So I agreed that, okay, while I'm waiting for this thing and there is nothing to work in IT, maybe I can do some food deliveries to the vending machines. What's ended up being a tragedy. The first delivery we did quite smooth with a colleague. Everything was fine. We went through 4 or 5 locations. We put everything in a vending machine, and then next day I had to do my solo trip through different cities. As I'm not really experienced van driver, I got the biggest van possible for B category, and no cameras, no nothing, only mirrors, and just believe that I'm not gonna hit anything. The car was so massive, I was just hoping that everything gonna be fine. I was so wrong. In my first location, I managed to hit a scooter with a trolley, which fell, and then the plastic got damaged. So mirror fell off and, just damage. Well, it took some time to settle down with my own insurance because the company said, well, we're not responsible for this damage. You're responsible with your own insurance. Just do it. I was like, all right, that's so weird. And that was already a second sign that something is off in this company because first they were mocking me for paying me 15 euros per hour, brutto, telling that I need to work harder, even though I was outperforming whatever I able to do. And that day, I think, was the last day of my deliveries because also in one of the deliveries, I damaged my spine, which was a terrible thing because I had to leave my car on the road and they neglected the fact that I had no parking ticket or parking card or anything to pay for parking, but they said, yo, just pay with your own money. So I left it on the road and it took me 10 minutes to restock the vending machine. And during this restocking period, I lifted the trays as fast as I could because if I would have get a fine for parking car on the road, I would pay it from my own pocket. So I thought I need to do it as soon as possible. I was so wrong. I did it fast, but I ended up damaging my spine, even though I heard the clicking or something went wrong in the spine. I don't even know how to explain it. And since then, it's already a year past since I have this spine problem and I cannot do a physical job because if I do a physical job for short time of period, then for following week, I will be just laying down on floor crying in pain. And as I finished delivery that day, of course, I was stressed enough and scared that I will get fired. I just refueled the tank for the car, I cleaned it after my shift and just left it. I went to the office, gave them keys back. And already by the moment when I came to the office, they were talking in a management group about what happened, what to do. So it took them a couple of hours just to decide to fire me. So that's how I ended up being fired. I lost my permanent contract in a previous company. I lost opportunity to work in this company as IT specialist. I lost opportunity to do my graduation, which took me a half a year more to find another company to do my graduation. I lost a lot of money, a lot of stress, lost my health. I fell into depression, burnout, and I'm not able to work a physical job. Even the government tried to help me finding a job. They only were able to find me a janitor or a mover's job. And I ended up going to reintegration courses for programming, even though I understand now that as MMLs are evolving, ChatGPT is getting better, and other things, let's say AI, they basically replacing a junior position, I cannot get a single job in IT, especially in my city. Moving is not an option because I already settled down in the city where I live now, and I'm planning to stay here as long as possible because I'm in love with the city, in love with the country, but I don't want to move because of the job, because I'm afraid if something again happened, then I will stay without anything in a different city, without the connections, without friends, without anyone. Oh yeah, they fired me from my job, and they motivated that for my graduation, they cannot make it because they don't have a budget for it, even though they bought a Lamborghini and now they're buying a second one. Isn't it weird? And subscribe for more stories. Peace.